Hello, all JNSF Selling and Marketing Club members. Imagine you want to go to the top of a hill in one jump. You can do it if you are Spider-Man. Trust me, the only way is you consistently put one step in front of the other. The same goes for our business life in sales and marketing. Believe me, a little goes a long way to achieve our success in automobile business, regardless whether we are owners or employees. This week may be your lucky 7 days. You are fortunate to get to watch this great and dynamic video clip. Guaranteed to improve yourself on all your selling efforts. Don't believe? Just keep watching. Alright. A moment please. Before uttering another word, allow me to introduce myself as Madam Sophia, the virtual assistant to CTM Joseph NG, your sales and marketing e-coach and e-mentor. Here is the news. Good news. Car sales likely to rebound on SST exemption. Pedaling Jaya. The automotive industry is expected to see a rebound in total industry volume, TIV, this year, say analysts. The main reason is the sales and service tax, SST, exemption for vehicle purchases that is still in place, they said. According to Hong Leong Investment Bank, HLIB, research, TIV is expected to grow by 18.8% year-on-year, YOY, to 600,000 units in 2022. This would be driven by the extension of the SST exemption until the middle of this year, the backlog of pent-up orders from 2021, new model launches in 2021 and early 2022, as well as the low base effect from last year. However, sales in the first half of the year are expected to be much stronger than the second half, it said. The outlook in 2022 can be broadly categorized into halves: a strong first half, average 60,000 to 65,000 driven by the SST exemption per month. This will be followed by a weak second half, averaging 35,000 units per month, due to the after effects of the SST exemption ending, as cars buyers would have bought forward their purchases, HLIB said. The research house said that this effect of bringing forward purchases was seen during the 2018 tax holiday from June to September, when the goods and services tax was zeroized but SST had yet to be re-implemented. Any model introduced in 2022 may soften the negative impact of post-SST exemption, HLIB research said. The research house said it expects a challenging second half of the year, with stiff competition to emerge across the board. Original equipment manufacturers will have to leverage on attractive new models and sales programs in order to sustain sales, it said. Meanwhile, RHB research said the full-year TIV figure for 2021 is likely to beat its forecast of 470,000 units, which implies a 13% YOY decline. Despite the robust 2021 performance, we leave our 2022 forecast TIV of 540,000 units unchanged, as we expect much of the backlog to be filled this year. This is given the persistent chip shortage and earlier than expected extension of the SST exemption period, it said. RHB research is also expecting a post-SST exemption hangover eventually in the second half of the year. The SST exemption should compensate for the loss of sales during the full lockdown and keep demand buoyed, coupled with the low interest rate environment amidst production bottlenecks. Our view remains largely unchanged, and we think the extension in SST exemption to June 2022 will not be as effective as before, it said. It reasoned that consumers intending to take advantage of the SST discounts would have already done so during the past 18 months. Beyond that, we expect TIV to taper off for a few quarters following the reimposition of the SST, before resuming growth, it said. RHB research is keeping its neutral call on the auto sector at this juncture, as it said near-term headwinds such as component shortage and the COVID-19 workplace threat are expected to remain. HLIB research also maintained its neutral call on the sector, as it also noted that TIV is expected to normalize in the second half. End of good news. Extracted and modified from printed open-source daily newspapers. January 11, 2022. By the way, are you happy with this week's bulletin? I hope you do. As for myself, it is very encouraging. You ask why? These fact and figures shown are down-to-earth outlooks to forewarn us to take proactive measures before, during and after the COVID-19 pandemic seasons. P.S. Please give us a thumbs up. Also do subscribe to our channel so you would not miss out any of our practical and useful video clips. We love your feedbacks to improve the quality of our weekly bulletin. Alright. PPS Before we part company, may I introduce Madam Florence, another virtual assistant to CTM Joseph. She will deliver a completely free and without any obligation a chapter from the book, How to Close Every Sale and Every Time. Are you now happier? Until we meet again, this is Madam Sophia wishing you sayonara and happy selling. Thanks a million.
Thank you, Madam Sophia, for allowing me to share the other half of this week's bulletin. In case you don't know me, my name is Madam Florence, another virtual assistant to CTM Joseph NG, your sales and marketing e-coach and e-mentor. Without further ado, here is a completely 100% free chapter. With no strings attached. Alright. Chapter 20, Call Back Close or Lost Sales Close. Quote, the call back close, also known as the lost sales close, works best when the detective seller has given up and is literally saying goodbye to the perpetrator prospect. By Michelangelo Caruso, he is an internationally recognized author and speaker. He's the founder of Edison House, a Michigan-based communications consulting company. You may have heard this quote. Winners never quit. Quitters never win. Yet it is most appropriate to quote this saying at this juncture. Believe me, research has proven that it is practiced by great salespeople. They even need to close stubborn sales by trying to close as many as 6 times. True. Joke aside, needless to say, when all else has failed, using the lost sales close technique can be effective. Such a close is a last-ditch effort. You use it when all of your other closing techniques have failed. Take heed, not all sales can close on the first or even second or third time. Because of this, it's often necessary to set a callback visit to continue the so-called conversation. Like most parts of a selling process, the callback is one of those recurring situations that you, or your sales team, will find yourself need to revisit prospects countless times a day or week to try to close again. Agree or not? Because of this, it's important that you develop and then script out a best practice second or third approaches to close the sale effectively. Unfortunately, many sales reps have never given the callback visit, or very many other parts of their sale, much thought. Instead, they ad-lib it and so develop ineffective and bad habits. You get the idea. I am sure you will. A bad examples includes, by the way, when should I follow up with you? This is obviously a weak return visit setup and may lose control of the call again to the prospect. As strange as it may sound, this may result in over 50% of sales reps being failed to handle the call back close exercise. Here is an excellent example of the proper way to set a callback visit. Mr. Prospect, in terms of talking to your partner, what time today can you do that? Sometimes it's better to assume they can and will be speaking with the other person that same day. This works best in a small company or in a business-to-consumer sale. If you know it's going to be later in the week or another time, then change the script accordingly. Hence, try, Mr. Potential Customer, when is the soonest you'll be speaking with them? By doing it the first way, you'll either be setting or confirming the time frame and controlling the callback visit. If they can't do it that day, then they'll come back with a more definite day and time. And that will keep you in tighter control of the sales cycle. After they let you know, say, okay, great. I'm looking at my calendar for that day. What's better for you on that Tuesday, morning or afternoon? Now you're locking down not only the day, but also the time. You're getting them involved and having them check their schedule. Once again, you are controlling the call back. And by doing it this way, you're not letting a lot of time pass between when they speak to their partner and when you do your presentation again. Here's what I'd suggest. Since you're likely to have some questions come up between our next call, how about I reach out to you in 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever is appropriate, just to see if there is anything I can convince you again to reconsider your buying decision. I've got my calendar in front of me. How does suggest a day and time look for you? Once again, you are driving the sales cycle and the callback visit. This is crucial to keep you top of mind and to allow you to head off any problems that might come up during the decision process. Do you notice a trend? Once again, I'm in control of the callback time frame. And don't worry, if that's not okay with them, they'll suggest another day time that is. Setting a callback like this keeps the sale moving forward and keeps them from falling through the cracks. Workable. You bet. Now what happens if they want to call you back and won't allow you to set the callback date? Two things. One is that this isn't a good sign. It means they want to control the sales cycle, which is never good, and, number two, it can also mean there is unsolved buying objection that is standing in the way of the sale. You get the idea. When this happens, you should try to move the callback date out just a little further and still try to control when you get to callback meetup. Try. I understand. What's the timeline for this? Qualify for timeline first. Then, tell you what, if I don't hear from you in the next 30 days, whatever is appropriate, then I'll get in touch with you to see if there are any buying doubts. What do you prefer, mornings or afternoons? Once again, you're in control of the callback, and you've got a definite time frame and time of day to call back and close the sale again. The bottom line with the callback call is to keep control of when it happens. Never leave it up to your prospect. Try to lock down the soonest date after any event that is going to happen, like them speaking to a partner, etc. Next, get them involved by having them check their calendar and identify a time of day. Try to get their buyer in on that day for the second or third time. By getting better at directing the sales cycle, you'll get closer to closing the deals happen on the second attempt. Make it a point to get good at this, and all other selling stages. Summary: just to refresh your mind on this chapter, it is good to remind ourselves the resounding words of Michelangelo Caruso. Next, do recall that we need to try to close as many as 6 times. The call back close is a last-ditch effort to conclude the difficult close. Always develop and then script out for best practices in our second or more approaches to handle the final sale. Ultimately, do remember to ensure the call back close process is under your control. Never leave it up to your prospect. Get my drift? You bet. Conclusion. Therefore, to wrap up this chapter 20 on callback close or lost sales close, we must be prepared to use this method to close every difficult sales. There is nothing to lose since the other closing methods has failed. In all honesty, I, myself, has tried this method. It worked most of the time. But be prepared to face failures. If you don't try, you have failed already. At any case, to take failures as stepping stone. Agree or not? All said and done, I believe we shall part company. Until we meet again, hope to see you in the next chapter. Goodbye and thanks a million. P.S. Should you need to acquire this book, How to Close Every Sales and Every Time, you can always contact the author and club's president CTM Joseph SFNG at josephsing@gmail.com. Or call 601-238-78592. Thanks.